Have you ever been there? In that quiet, desolate place where your faith, once a blazing fire, now feels like fading embers? You open your Bible, and the words that once leaped off the page with life are now just black ink on thin paper. You kneel to pray, and the words that once flowed from your heart now feel rehearsed and empty, rising no higher than the ceiling. You go to church, surrounded by people singing with passion, and you feel nothing. A profound, hollow numbness. A spiritual dryness. It's a lonely desert, and the most painful part is the silence. God, who once felt so near, now seems a million miles away. In this season, the enemy's whispers are at their loudest. You've done something wrong. God has left you. Your faith was never real to begin with. You are a hypocrite. And because our feelings are so powerful, we begin to believe him. We begin to think that the absence of a feeling is the absence of God himself. But today, I want to speak a word of truth into your desert. I want to tell you that this season of dryness, this feeling of divine distance, is not a sign that you have failed. In fact, it is one of the most common and, paradoxically, one of the most transformative experiences in the entire Christian journey. You are walking a path that the greatest saints and heroes of the faith have all walked before you. Look at the Psalms, the prayer book of the Bible. It is filled with the cries of those who felt abandoned. In Psalm 13, David cries out, "How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" This isn't the cry of a man who has lost his faith. It is the cry of a man who has lost the feeling of his faith, and he is honest enough to scream his pain into the silence. He is so certain God is there that he complains to him directly about his absence. Raw, honest lament is a profound act of faith. Perhaps the most powerful illustration of this is the prophet Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 19. This was a man at the peak of his power. He had just confronted 450 prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel and called down fire from heaven in a spectacular display of God's might. He was on a spiritual high, and immediately after, he crashed into the deepest despair. Threatened by Queen Jezebel, he ran for his life into the wilderness, sat under a tree, and prayed to die. He felt utterly alone, a complete failure. He had seen the fire of God, and now all he felt was the emptiness of the desert. And how did God meet him? Elijah went to the mountain of God, and a great wind tore the mountains apart. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper, a still, small voice. This is a profound lesson for us. In our seasons of dryness, we often look for God in the spectacular, the emotional worship service, the dramatic answer to prayer, the fire from heaven. But often, it is in these very seasons that God teaches us to listen for his still, small voice. He withdraws the loud reassurances to train our ears to hear his whisper. He is inviting us into a deeper, quieter, more mature intimacy. The great spiritual writers called this the dark night of the soul. It is a time when God, in his infinite wisdom and love, sometimes withdraws the feeling of his presence to purify our motives. He does it so that we learn to seek his face, not just his hand, so that we love the giver more than his gifts, even the gift of feeling close to him. He is burning away a faith that is dependent on emotion and replacing it with a faith that is dependent on his unchanging character and his unbreakable promises. He is building in you a faith that can survive any desert, any storm, any silence. And if you ever feel unworthy in this season, remember the cry from the cross. Jesus, the perfect Son of God, in his darkest hour, cried out the words of Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me?" In that moment, as he bore the sin of the world, he experienced a separation from the Father that we will never truly comprehend. He entered the ultimate spiritual desert for us. So when you feel distant from God, you can know that Jesus understands that feeling perfectly. He sanctified that feeling on the cross, and he ensures that even when you feel forsaken, you never, ever truly are. So what do you do when you are in the desert? How do you survive the season of dryness? The first and most important thing is this: press in, do not pull away. Your feelings will tell you to stop. Don't pray, it's pointless. Don't read, it's boring. Don't go to church, you're a hypocrite. You must fight this feeling with an act of pure faith. Continue the spiritual disciplines, not as a duty, but as a lifeline. Treat them like medicine you take even when you have no appetite. Every time you kneel to pray when you feel nothing, you are telling God, I trust your promise more than I trust my feelings. It is a powerful act of worship. Second, shift from feeling to remembering. Your emotions are fickle, but God's history is firm. Actively remember God's past faithfulness. Take out a journal and write down every answered prayer you can recall, every moment of provision, every time he brought you through a trial. Remind your soul of God's unchanging character. The God who was with you on the mountain is the same God who is with you in the valley, even when you cannot feel him. Third, practice raw honesty and gratitude. Tell God exactly how you feel. Pour out your frustration, your confusion, your emptiness. He can handle it. This honest lament is a bridge to intimacy. And then, in the same prayer, find one small thing to be thankful for: the breath in your lungs, the sun in the sky. Gratitude breaks the spell of despair and shifts your focus from what you lack to the grace that still surrounds you. Finally, serve someone else. When we are in a spiritual desert, we can become intensely self-focused. One of the quickest ways out of the desert is to stop thinking about your own thirst and help someone else find water. Serving others takes the focus off your own emptiness and allows God to pour his presence through you, often filling you in the process. This season will not last forever. The desert has an end. The dawn will come. But do not waste this time. God is doing a deep, hidden, and essential work in you. He is building an unshakable foundation, a faith for all seasons. Trust the process, listen for the whisper, and know that he is closer than you think.